The afternoon sun reflected off the polished black sedan as 72-year-old Evelyn Carter carefully loaded groceries into the trunk. She moved slowly because of arthritis, but she insisted on living independently. The car had been a retirement gift to herself after 40 years of teaching elementary school. As she reached for the driver's door, a patrol car pulled into the parking lot with its lights flashing. A young police officer stepped out quickly. "Ma'am, step away from the vehicle." Evelyn looked around, confused. "I'm sorry? I said step away from the car." She obeyed without argument. "Is there a problem, officer?" "We received a report that this vehicle was stolen." Evelyn blinked. "Stolen? This is my car." The officer crossed his arms. "Can you prove it?" "My registration is inside the glove compartment." He shook his head. "You'll stay where you are." A few shoppers slowed down to watch. Evelyn remained calm. "My driver's license is in my purse, and the registration is exactly where it's supposed to be." The officer glanced at the expensive sedan. "This car doesn't match the description we were given." She frowned. "What description?" He hesitated before answering. The caller said an elderly black woman was trying to steal a luxury vehicle. Several people nearby exchanged uncomfortable looks. Evelyn lowered her eyes for a moment, then looked back at him. "So someone assumed I couldn't possibly own it." "I didn't say that." "You didn't have to." Instead of checking the vehicle identification number or asking dispatch to verify ownership, the officer stepped behind her. "Turn around." "What?" "For officer safety." Before she could respond, cold handcuffs closed around her wrists. Gasps spread across the parking lot. One teenager quietly began recording with his phone. Evelyn never struggled. She had spent decades teaching children that anger often made difficult situations worse, but the sadness on her face was impossible to hide. "I spent 40 years telling children to trust the people wearing that badge," she said softly. The officer avoided her eyes. Just then, another convoy of police vehicles entered the lot. They weren't responding to the same call. The county police chief had been visiting a nearby youth center and happened to notice the crowd. His SUV stopped. Chief Marcus Johnson stepped out. "What happened here?" The young officer straightened immediately. "Possible vehicle theft, Chief." Marcus looked toward the woman in handcuffs. His expression changed instantly. He froze. Then his voice cracked. "Mom!" The parking lot fell silent. The officer looked from the chief to the elderly woman. "You know her?" Marcus hurried forward. "Know her? She raised me." He gently held Evelyn's shoulders. "Are you okay?" She smiled despite the handcuffs. "I've had better afternoons." Marcus turned toward the officer. "Take those cuffs." "Off, now." The officer's hands shook as he unlocked them. "I'm sorry, Chief. I didn't realize—" Marcus interrupted him. "That shouldn't matter." The words echoed across the parking lot. "It shouldn't matter whether she's my mother, a retired teacher, or someone you've never met." Evelyn rubbed her wrists. Marcus picked up her grocery bags himself. Then he faced the growing crowd. "My mother adopted me when I was 8 years old," he said. "She taught me that a badge represents service, not assumptions." He looked directly at the officer. "Did you verify the registration?" "No, sir." "Did you run the license plate?" "No, sir." "Did you ask dispatch to confirm ownership?" "No." "Then what exactly made you believe this car was stolen?" The young officer swallowed hard. The caller sounded certain. Marcus nodded slowly. "A confident accusation is not evidence." The teenager recording the incident captured every word. Within hours, the video spread across the county. Many expected the chief to quietly protect his officer. Instead, Marcus held a public press conference the next morning. "My mother was treated unfairly," he said. "Not because of who she is, but because basic police procedure was ignored. Accountability begins with leadership, and that includes me." An internal review was launched immediately. The investigation found that the officer had skipped multiple required verification steps before making the arrest. He was suspended pending retraining, while the anonymous caller was identified and admitted to making assumptions based solely on Evelyn's appearance. No criminal theft had ever occurred. A month later, the department invited community members to a public meeting. Evelyn stood at the podium. Everyone expected anger. Instead, she smiled warmly. "I don't want revenge," she began. "I want improvement. Every mistake is a lesson if we're willing to learn from it." She turned toward the young officer who had volunteered to attend. "I accept your apology." His eyes filled with tears. "I promise I'll never make that mistake again." "I believe you," she replied. "Just remember that every person you meet has a story you haven't heard." The audience rose in a standing ovation. As the meeting ended, Marcus walked beside his mother to her car. This time, the same officers who had watched silently weeks before opened her door with respect. Evelyn looked at her son and smiled. "I've always been proud of the man you became." Marcus smiled back. "I learned from the best." She drove away with the same quiet dignity she had carried all her life, knowing that true justice is not measured by power or titles, but by the courage to admit mistakes, correct them, and ensure that every person is treated with fairness before judgment.